Here's 9 things that you need to know before the new World Brimstone Sands update. Now these are sort of little things, but I do think they're important, just maybe not important enough to have their own video. Before we start, I do want to give a big shout out to my YouTube members. Thank you guys, I do really appreciate it. And if you want to support the channel, that truly is the best way to do so. So the first thing on this list is probably that the Umbral Shard upgrading your gear is actually changing. So let me explain. Effectively, it's about the same number of Umbral Shards to get an item from 590 to 625. It's just that the curve is changing. This basically means it's going to require more Umbral Shards to get from like 590 to 620 in the new patch than it does now. But getting from 620 to 625 is a lot easier. So if you're in the game and you're already playing right now, maybe upgrade your items to 620 and then go from 620 to 625 when the new patch arrives. Now personally, I'm not a huge fan of that change because I think it makes players play those low level mutations, which most people are not doing right now. It'll be good on fresh, but on the live servers it's a little bit weird. The next thing to note is that you are going to be able to acquire gear that is actually already above gear score 600. In Brimstone Sands, there are some quests that give you 605 gear, and I believe you can now craft with the mutated materia, and that also gives you gear score 605. Just a little thing, but important to know. Now one thing that a lot of people have been calling out for is the fact that in the auction house you never know when things actually completed and stuff like that. Well, now they have actually put in a date timestamp so you can more confidently know when your stuff sold or didn't sell or whatever. Nice little change, but important. Another big change is that we are actually going to get in-game cutscenes. Now we're going to get cinematic cutscenes that trigger, and we're going to get in-engine cutscenes. I'm not going to show any of that because it'll obviously lead to spoilers. They are coming, they are interesting, and I'm sure that's going to tell the story in a much better way than what we've seen before. Now on the live servers, the price of lodestone is pretty damn high. Now, whilst in Brimstone, there's nothing immediately that says it's going to come down instantly because there's not like a shed ton of lodestone. There are these creatures that when you kill them, you can then effectively mine them and take a little bit of lodestone. I think they're called roving constructs, they're sort of these beetles, right? It's like every penny counts. They're all going to add up because everybody's going to be killing them. The amount of lodestone in the market is going to change, so I think we're going to see the price sort of even out a little bit. It's just one thing to be aware of if you're trying to like hoard lodestone before Brimstone. You might be better getting all your action done before Brimstone comes out. Another important change that actually happened from the first PTR patch to the second one, and that is that the materials required to craft these Heart Gem runes are actually changing. I believe you need a little bit less runestone, but one of the important things is that it's actually not going to require a specific type of gypsum. It's actually going to require gypsum orbs. So for example, I was stashing my emerald gypsum thinking, oh, I need that. Thankfully, they've now just changed it so that any gypsum can be converted into the orb, and it's the orb that you use. Overall, I think that's a very good change. So before you start looking at the mats that you need to get these, keep in mind that they have changed. The next one is something that I can't really demonstrate very easily, but just be aware of this. There are some enemies and some areas that only unlock at specific times of day. Like, for example, one of them might only unlock at the night, where it isn't there in the daytime. That's just a little new mechanic that you need to be aware of. If maybe you are trying to get something from a mob in that area, then you need to be aware that when that mob actually spawns. This next one is a little bit vague, but sort of intentionally. Keep an eye out when you're in Brimstone for some secrets. For example, if you're doing the main story quests like very early on, so not really a big spoiler here, there's an area where you have to sort of jump up a little ledge to get to a quest. One little secret is that you can actually just keep jumping higher and higher and higher, and you'll eventually get to a chest. There are loads of things like that in this zone, and there is something that I've not been able to find, but there are apparently these things called roadside secrets, where basically you'll stumble upon them and it'll be like a mini event that'll take you to a little secret. Maybe it'll be a chest, or maybe it'll be an enemy or something like that. So all I'm saying is, in Brimstone Sands, keep your eyes open for secrets. Now one big change, which is actually quite a subtle change that I've not necessarily seen many people talk about, is there actually is some things in here to address the light, medium and heavy balance issue. There's two main things. One of them is that when you get hit, you get slowed down. Well, for everybody, that time is being reduced. But what it is that for heavy users, when you get hit, you're not going to be slowed down for as long as light users. So light users are not getting nerfed, they're just not getting buffed as much as heavy users. Because right now, if you get hit as a light user, it'll be, I think, 1.5 seconds. Maybe that's going to go to 1.25 seconds. I can't remember the figures off the top of my head. But for a heavy, if you get hit, it's now going to go to 0.5 of a second. The theory being is that heavy users will be able to get hit and still attack. But it's not a nerf to light users because they're actually getting buffed, just not buffed as much as heavy. I hope that makes sense. And apparently dodges are also going to be affected by this. So if you get hit, your dodge distance is going to decrease. So if you're in that sort of slow, then you're not going to be able to dodge far enough away. I think what they're trying to do there is keep the light players happy, but actually make the light, medium and heavy balance just a little bit better for those heavy to medium boys. But that's it. Those are just sort of like little things that I thought you might want to know before we actually get the Brimstone Sands update. But obviously do be aware that some of this is subject to change. We've already seen that with the heart gem rune crafting materials, for example. Are there any little things that you think that I missed off this list? Do let me know in the comments below. Did I tell you anything you didn't know? Also let me know that. What you should definitely do though is have a most beautiful day, like and subscribe. Goodbye.